Welcome to Lawyer Business Advantage. This podcast is dedicated to helping attorneys earn more money, get better clients, and spend more time with family. I'm your host, Alay and founder of Law Firm Success Group. Smart business guidance for small law firms begins in 3, 2, 1. And it's my pleasure to welcome to Lawyer Business Advantage Ron Latz, owner of Legal Phoenix. Ron, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for the invite. I'm sure the conversation is going to go down many different rabbit holes, but I appreciate you having me join you, and I look forward to it.
I am so excited to hear a number of different perspectives from you. You're actually a marketing insider. So you worked with Thomson Reuters and you worked with these companies that sell to law firms all the time, and you kind of know their tricks. And so this is going to be a really awesome episode. We're going to dive into some of those tricks and now you do different things. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to share with our audience. This
Let's do
episode, by
it.
the way, is sponsored by Counsel CPAs. Counsel CPAs provides back office operations for law firms. So think AR management, bookkeeping, accounting. They're just focused on law firms and they do a phenomenal job. So if that's what you're looking for, counsel with an S, CPAs.com. Um, so Ron, tell us a little bit about your experience working at Thomson Reuters.
Listen, it was an incredible opportunity. I was very grateful to have the chance to work for a very well-known organization within the legal division, FindLaw, which is now owned by Internet Brands. But I focused exclusively on marketing and advertising service and products being sold to lawyers in the northern New Jersey area. So at that time in my career, it was solely a sales position. So I was helping them grow in a variety of ways across search, paid search, and obviously their directory products. And we worked exclusively with lawyers.
And now you do something different. You actually advise lawyers on how to grow their law firms through marketing, and you advise them on which agencies are a really good fit for them. Is that right?
Correct. At Legal Phoenix, I'm offering legal consulting services as well as fractional CMO services. So on the front side of the house, I'm providing direction and advisory, helping law firms develop their strategy, identify specific marketing channels and the associated tactics that are going to help them reach their overall business goals and objectives. Sometimes that would include identifying vendors that can help give them the visibility that they need to reach their target audience, whether it's SEO, paid search, social, more branding, or community involvement. We try to put all the pieces together again to reach their ideal clients and help them achieve whatever growth aspirations they may have, whether it's from a revenue, client volume perspective, or expanding geographically, and everything in between. And then on the fractional CMO side of the house, it's much more involved where I'm essentially leading, or they delegate the responsibility of leading the marketing function to me and my team. It's also inclusive of a lot of just vendor management and oversight to make sure that each side is held
Sure.
accountable, not just the agency, but that the law firm is providing timely approvals and giving them the information they need to create a feedback loop to make sure that the prospects, opportunities, the leads are of quality and of the nature that they are looking for. Many times that will also have for firms that have in-house resources, whether they're marketing coordinators, managers, or directors. Me and my team collaborate with them very closely to help them bring campaigns, across the finish line or strategize around different ways that we can approach the projects that we all try to tackle.
Yeah. So I want to jump in here because you were in kind of a unique position in terms of what you did in the past. And now you're positioned currently where you're advising firms on making marketing decisions and managing marketing campaigns. Um, and this really is part of what we were talking about before we started recording, which is, I have a client right now who is kind of looking at his marketing agency that's doing all of his digital marketing, and he's wondering if he has the right agency for him. And everyone he talks to sounds really, really good, and everyone he talks to offers to do a free evaluation where they find all sorts of stuff that his marketing agency is doing wrong. But he really likes the person. He's worked with them for years, and leaving them is it's a trusted relationship, and so it's not something that he will do lightly. So I'm sure you encounter this too. And so for the attorney entrepreneurs that are listening, many of them are no doubt in the same situation where they have a marketing partner that's doing their marketing, but they're not sure if there's a better firm out there for them. And even if there was, they wouldn't really know how to find it. So, what are some tips that you can share with our audience on how to know if your marketing vendor is doing a good job for you, um, and how to know maybe if it's time to switch?
I think the key here is going to be like that relationship that you talked about and ensure that there is trust and that there is transparency, right? There are agencies out there that might restrict your access to certain information or data to the point where you may not know how well some of your marketing campaigns are actually performing or what your true costs are, how much money is going towards the ad platform and how much money is then actually going in channel towards ads or things like that. So in your case, with your client who does have a trusting relationship, I think that they can have the conversation that we're just not hitting the mark. Maybe expectations need to be reset, have a realignment, and then they need to together define what success is going to look like, whether that's based off of qualified opportunities, retained click cases, right? It depends on their market, competitive dynamics, and then how much they are investing in this particular channel to determine whether or not they are doing what it's going to take to help them reach those goals. A lot of the firms that I do run into may have had that trust broken or it has eroded over time where they feel like they're just not getting the service that they were accustomed to or that they're not getting the results that they require. And that's going to, demand a little bit of a different approach because now they need to go out to market and have these conversations with an agency that may promise them the world or tell them no matter what that they can do a better job or they can make these types of improvements. I think it's unavoidable because every single service provider that you reach out to is likely going to be confident in their abilities to turn that boat around or improve performance in some way, shape, or form. What you really need to do is understand what they are going to help you achieve and the goal that you are trying to accomplish. So if there are specific parameters that you have in which you are going to say at the end of the day that this engagement is a success, they need to be crystal clear on that so that you can hold each other accountable. Because if they are able to produce, for example, if you need an increase of qualified leads and they make a recommendation to generate more leads for your firm, you need to make sure that you can handle that volume or the increase, the influx of new leads and opportunities. Because if you are unable to, that's going to be a completely different problem. Now, we can go on and on about the different channels and the repercussions that, come into play based off of like whether or not some of those goals are realistic or reasonable. But having multiple conversations, speaking with three or four different agencies and trying to identify like some of the commonalities and then ensuring that there is cultural and values fit, right? You can start to see some of the light at the end of the tunnel around which agency might be better for you.
Yeah. I love that approach. I think it makes a lot of sense. And our client, the client I'm talking about, has already gone through all of that, and so he's now going out to market. And the approach for going out to market, I'd love to get your take on this. Hopefully you agree with it, but maybe you have some other guidance to add. Hopefully that can also help the client. Um, what we said is, look, let's take a step back. Let's keep things really simple because this is very complicated stuff. So we want to really measure based on results. So instead of wondering about, how they're going to get the leads, let's put the emphasis on how many leads they're bringing in and, what the cost per lead should be. Because that keeps things really, really simple. And then as far as new agencies, what we said is, look, identify some of the top agencies right now, because at this point, he's really trying to achieve two things. One, he wants to see if he can regain confidence in his current provider. And two, he wants to see what else is out there to see if he can upgrade. And so, talk to some of the top agencies. Tell them here's the kind of leads I'm looking to drive into my practice. Roughly how much is that going to cost me on a monthly basis to get something like that? These are all vetted. He's already gone through the work of making sure that they're some of the best, well-recognized agencies in his practice area. They have, tons of recommendations from other attorneys in his practice area, and they work with firms his size. So all that stuff's dialed in. And we're going to see where it's going to go. If you had this client, how else would you, or what else would you suggest that he does?
Well, listen, if he has worked with you and he's been able to identify what he is able to pay or what the average cost per lead is or cost per qualified opportunity in console and then their acquisition cost, that is a great benchmark to bring to all of these agencies to let them know that we are looking to acquire clients at this cost or capture leads at this cost. And you can look at different channels, right? Your paid search, Google Ads type of channel versus your Google local services ads versus, your organic SEO, local SEO are all going to likely vary. And you're going to have different thresholds of which you're willing to pay to generate those types of leads. When you start having conversations with, the top of the top agencies, the top five or six that are out there, for the most part, when you're having these conversations, they're going to have a pretty good idea based off of like your market, your firm size, how much you're investing, what those costs are going to be, because they're working with dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of these types of firms. So they should be able to speak to that. They have the experience and the expertise. So that's one way you can hold them accountable to say, we are looking for this type of growth. I'm willing to pay this amount of dollars for these leads or this amount of dollars to acquire the client. At that point, if they are unable to do so, as long as you are not locked into a long-term contract, you should be able to untether and then make a new decision. I'm not saying that that is fun or enjoyable to kind of keep switching from agency to agency. There's a cost from, time and investment required to do that. But if they promised a certain result and they were unable to achieve it, then you should be able to have the option to go elsewhere to get that service.
Yeah, and one of the issues that gives many of my clients pause before they switch from one agency to another is they're really worried. I mean, they're worried that the agency that they currently have is going to sabotage something under the hood on their website or, backlinks or something like that. That could really cause problems for them when they switch to another agency. How realistic or likely is that to occur?
I mean, you always want to approach it as amicably as possible to let them know and not, play games. Listen, I really do think that the very bad apples or the bad actors out there that would sabotage, your own efforts are very few and far between. Most of the agencies that I've seen over the past decade and a half, like sometimes they play games in, not relinquishing access or sharing access with the other agency, or they drag their feet, or you go at the bottom of the priority list and things get drawn out and they take a little bit longer. But it's very rare. I'm not saying that I've never seen it done, but it's very rare where they are going out and doing harmful things or sabotaging campaigns or, deleting information or data. And I do think that if you have a good relationship, with your point of contact. At that point, it's a business decision, and you let them know that, listen, if things don't work out the way that we believe, if the grass isn't greener, as long as you don't burn that bridge, there's still an opportunity to come back because there was trust there. I think that was one of the most frustrating things that I had with a larger corporation. And again, Reuters gave me a great opportunity, but it's a very, very large publicly backed company. And if an attorney signed a 12, 24, or 36-month agreement, like they held their feet to the fire. And I would have some gripes with, some management and just say, listen, either we didn't deliver, this isn't a great opportunity, it was unfit, I inherited the account. Let's let them walk. I'm developing a relationship with them there. Let's come to terms, whether they buy it out or let's get creative here so that we don't just completely burn that bridge because, the market, the patch that you are assigned is only so big. And I don't want to burn my reputation
Yeah.
in the process here. And I do believe that, there were clients and firms that we lost that if we had just come to an agreement, I'm not saying we can let everybody out of their contracts. That would be a nightmare and a mess for a publicly backed company, traded company. But, many of those firms would have come back around and had conversations with us and entertained us as an agency again, but not when you go in to sue them. So,
Right, right. And I agree. In the past, gosh, now well over a decade of working with law firms, I might have encountered that situation of sabotage maybe once or twice,
yeah.
and nothing in the last 5, 6 years. Not one. So, if you're choosing a reputable agency that has, some good reviews, some good word of mouth, some testimonials, you should probably be okay. You just treat them well and, like you said, be professional about things.
Yeah.
Um, when people are working with you, when they start working with you, what are like the top three issues that they typically have?
Top three, I would say the reporting infrastructure and understanding how much it costs to generate, leads or opportunities and acquisition costs because they don't have that infrastructure in place. That's one of the biggest challenges because then they don't really have a true understanding of what's working and what's not really working. So, I'll make sure that they have the right guidance or the direction to get some basic call tracking in place. Hopefully, they can get an intake management software or a CRM in place so they could start to capture some source data and understand where these opportunities, which channels they are coming from. So that's a challenge. I think another challenge is that a lot of firms that have visionary leaders attempt to boil the ocean. They do. They have so many ideas and they want to be in every single channel, right? Every new hot social media platform that comes out where they really haven't nailed down the basics. And then they spread their investment dollars so thin that they're mediocre results across the board because they're not really penetrating that particular channel or market the way that they could be if they kind of centralize some of those dollars towards those efforts, right? That's something big. And then there's the firms that will continue to add on to lead volume because they believe that it is always going to be the solution to any and all problems when it's really a people, a process, or a technology issue, right? They might not have the bandwidth, the infrastructure, the resources, or like the service delivery in place that is world class to act as one of their best marketing tools, which is just raving fans or, brand loyalists that are going to go tell their family, friends, and colleagues about them, right? So we chatted about this before we even hit record, right? The pummeling of dollars into a channel when you are not able to handle that influx is just investing in poor first impressions at scale.
Yeah.
And that does nobody any good.
Yeah, and we're talking to potential clients and they say, "Oh, I want to grow. I want to grow. I need more leads. I need more leads." And the first question we ask them is, "Well, if you doubled your leads, could you handle it?" No. Well, if you got a significant increase of leads, could you handle it? No, we're super slammed. Like we don't, so clearly there's other things going on there. Um,
I like that approach because one of the first things that I'll also look at is if they have got some call tracking in place, I'll pop into the system and ask them why or why not they might be missing 15 to 20% of their phone calls, right? And if the intake team is maybe they're constantly on the phone and they need additional resources or they have to get a call answering service. Like these are solutions to problems that don't require you necessarily to throw more money at the ad channel and make Google even richer, right? You might need to get a body in place to handle your after hours, your weekend, your overflow coverage. So,
and when these things start to work very quickly, I see there's a couple of gaps on the law firm side, and I want to get your take on this. One is it's amazing to me how long law firms go without hiring a truly capable marketing person, whether it's a fractional person or a full-time person. Having someone that can really focus, that knows law firm marketing, and can really help that firm grow. It's a big investment, but it's one that any growing firm should make. I'm curious when they should make that. Like, what are some of the signs? And then to go along with that, when we talk about, and once the leads start to come through, now responding to leads becomes really important and building out that whole infrastructure of You've got your phone numbers, you've got your intake team, you've got your CRM, you've got your follow-ups and your drip campaigns and all of that. So all of that takes cost and it takes time. When do you think is the right time in a firm's life cycle to start saying, yep, you know what? I'm at the point now where I need to really start investing in some external resources to help me continue to grow my firm.
Well, on the marketing side, one of the one of the signs should be if your job description or the responsibilities of that marketing individual starts to look like the unicorn, or it's 3, 4, 5 pages because they are responsible for, organic, local, paid, brand, community involvement, referral marketing, the newsletter, the social media, the list, communications, right? Like the list goes on and on. That's where I see a lot of firms, I don't want to say fail, but they fall into that trap where one individual is responsible for so much that it's just not even humanly possible for them to do all of that work in the hours that they have in a day. So for a smaller firm that might not have the resources to build out a huge team, right? That person is going to be a little bit more of a utility player. But once you see things starting to slip through the cracks, or deadlines are being missed, or there's not as much attention to detail as there used to be, it might be because they are being spread too thin. And that's when you can start to look at some pseudo specialization. And maybe specialization isn't even the right word, but like divvying up the responsibilities to another individual where one person owns tasks and channels A through C, and then D through F go to somebody else. And then you can start to break it up that way so that you're not overwhelming or burning out your workforce.
Or
Um,
yourself.
or yourself, right? Because then most firms are going to say, or most like managing partners and lawyers, if something isn't getting done, like they're the ones that are there after hours and working on weekends and trying to fill the gap and fix things because they just don't have the resources in place. Whereas if they spent the dollars to get somebody that can uh, get it at least, what does Dan Martell say? Like get 80% done is better than 0%, or I forget the
Yeah.
phrase that he uses in Buy Back Your Time, but it's something that I've even had to learn as a small business, like mastering that art of delegation so that I can spend time on the things that are just very high value, high dollar for my clients, and just trusting the team is going to be able to deliver.
Yeah. Ron, what are you looking forward to over the next year or so with your growing firm?
I really just I look forward to Mondays and like getting back into it, and I don't look at this as a job. I really love what I'm doing, and I'm looking forward to continuing to grow. I've been very fortunate over the previous year with a ton of support from just friends and colleagues and family throughout this journey. I work with, a handful to a half a dozen contractors. We've brought on a full-time employee. We're looking at bringing on another employee. And all of that is aimed towards just improving our client service and experience. So as we identify new opportunities that we want to pursue in different firms that we want to partner with, right, we're going to be selective and ensure that there is, very strong cultural value alignment and fit, and that we are put in a position that we can really help them achieve, their growth goals, because that's what it's all about, right? Just like that collaboration, that partnership. And I look forward to continuing to do that throughout this year. Got some aggressive goals that we want to achieve. And I think in some moments where they might feel uncomfortable, I know that I'm on the not. I don't think I'd be pushing myself hard enough.
Got it. Ron, if people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would say I'm LinkedIn is probably the best way. I'm very active. I share posts, legal marketing tips, tricks, and just insights to look out for when you're looking for new agencies or trying to evaluate the success of a campaign or a program. Or just head over to legalphoenix.com, Fenix, and you can sign up for the newsletter, which gets dropped every Friday morning.
Awesome. Everyone, that is Ron Latz with Legal Phoenix. Ron, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thank you so much. It was a great time.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Lawyer Business Advantage podcast. One thing that would really help both us and other new potential listeners is for you to rate this show and leave a comment in iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you tune in to listen. And I want to hear from you. So connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know what you think of this episode. And if you are a solo or an owner of a small law firm and you're looking to earn more money, attract better clients, or reduce your stress, we would love to talk with you to see how we can help. Request your free law firm assessment by visiting lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. Again, that URL is lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. We look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you for listening. My name is Alay and Until next time, remember, you can seize freedom, you can embrace happiness, you can build your perfect practice.